everyone. Hi, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We're going to be starting in just a few moments. Just hang in there with me as I get things set up. Good evening, good evening. Hello, lovely to see everybody's faces. Bear with me, gang. There we go. I am just waiting for a few people to get here. Here's Diana. Welcome, Diana. I know you're going to be coming on momentarily, and we're waiting for Lisa Rosenthal.
Hi, can you see me?
I can see you perfectly. Hello. It's great to see your beautiful face. How are you?
So nice to talk to you today. Yeah.
I know. It's been forever, way too long since we've last talked and caught up. And there's Lisa. Lisa, if you click the little camera with the plus sign at the bottom, and then I can add you as well.
I feel like I'm so close.
You're good. I'm just going to add Lisa and we're going to get this party started.
Okay, great, great.
The three amigos once again.
Right. Last time we were all together with a few years.
At least you're not backlit. I'm going to turn this light off, I think, because it's too much. Too much.
Okay.
I love Lisa. I love you, Lisa.
And you know how much I care about how I look. No, not that.
Oh, well, obviously I care as well. My hair's but.
I'm wearing my shirt.
Oh,
I see. I'm wearing my beads. I've got my beads.
Is Dina on and listening to us? Dina, you know you're going to make me nervous, girl. Gosh. Anyway, hi, Ashley. Hi, Diana.
hi, Lisa.
Hello,
Diana,
ladies.
what the only thing we want you to do tonight is be yourself. That's all we need. That's it.
Great.
Okay.
She has no choice with both of us being here. It's just going to happen.
I know, it's a true thing. Hi, Dina, my dearie dear. I have a picture of us from New York City, me, you, and Rachel Steiner several years ago. I'll send it to you. Came up today.
See it. Yes. Okay.
So are you ladies ready for this?
Yeah.
I got my notes. I know that if I know you, Ashley, I probably won't need them, but I got the questions and the notes, and we're just talking amongst friends, right?
We're talking amongst friends. We're going to talk about this whole infertility thing, about PCOS, about the letters NIAW and what that means, and maybe bring it all together and empower a couple of people to get more involved in what it is we're all doing and what we have been doing for many years now. So welcome everyone to our live. I know it's been a while since the last live on PCOSgurl, and I am so thrilled this evening because I have two fellow, I can't just call them advocates. They're advocates, they're colleagues, they're friends, they're sisters in arms. They're all of the above. And for years, these two ladies have been on the front lines with me, advocating for PCOS awareness at Pcos Advocacy Day, for infertility awareness with Resolve and Resolve's Advocacy Day every year. So it is a true honor to have them here with us during NIAW, which of course my dogs are now going to bark because they're so excited that it's NIAW, which is National Infertility Awareness Week. It was conceived by Resolve, the National Infertility Association, back in 1989 at a kitchen table. And now it's grown into this incredible organization that advocates, supports, and offers resources to people who are dealing with infertility. Infertility affects 1 in 8. That's pretty staggering, and there are not enough resources, support, information out there for families that are interested in family building. Where I come into this is PCOS is the leading cause of infertility in women. That is actually something that is on the CDC's website, and it's because women with PCOS can sometimes have a trouble ovulating. So their ovaries will not create an egg, release an egg, so you get pregnant or have regular periods. So we're going to get into that a little bit more, but I wanted to introduce you to these two lovely ladies. They are both with Illume Fertility, which has been just a godsend to the PCOS community and the infertility community for years. Diana is a physician assistant and Lisa is a patient advocate. So Diana, I would love you to tell everyone a little bit more about yourself and what you do at Illume Fertility.
Okay, well, I recently had an anniversary, 16 years there, but I've worked in fertility since the late 80s. And so I've been through the whole gamut of changes that infertility treatment has gone through and infertility options for patients for many years. I work and do clinical work with the patients. I do exams and procedures, saline sonograms, hysterosalpingograms, biopsies, ultrasounds, count eggs every day. Every morning I'm counting eggs. But I also work with PCOS patients, and we have a clinic for PCOS girls and young women not trying to get pregnant, or some are and some aren't. And we take care of them too, and we really address all the issues. We have a comprehensive clinic that has a mental health provider, it has nutritionists, clinical staff, and so forth. So we can give comprehensive care to our PCOS patients.
Absolutely love it. And Miss Lisa Rosenthal, I can't just call you a patient advocate because you do like a little bit of everything around town, but I would love you to tell everyone a little bit more about you and your involvement and what you do with Illume Fertility.
So like Diana, I've been with Illume Fertility, formerly known as RMA of Connecticut. I'm coming up on 15 years. I didn't realize I was just a year behind you, Diana.
Yeah.
But starting with my own infertility process and journey, it was 6.5 years for me, Ashley, and I really wasn't happy with what was not available to me. I mean, this was a very long time ago, so there wasn't a lot out there, but there was Resolve, and I actually started volunteering with Resolve New York City. Worked with the American Fertility Association, which is now Path to Parenthood, and finally landed really at the dream place, a place that I just truly love, which is Illume Fertility, as a patient advocate. And I do internal advocacy. I support our patients because this is a very, very challenging process, likened to cancer, as how stressful it can be. And so everybody needs a little extra help. So I'm that extra help. We have excellent, excellent teams, our patient navigators, our fertility nurses, our finance advocates, our mental health professionals. We have lots and lots of members, and I'm one of those members of the team. But I also do what I call external advocacy. And this year, one of the biggest hats that I'm wearing is co-chair with Ryan Ferrente, who is a fabulous reproductive attorney from Chicago. We are co-chairing Resolve's Advocacy Day. And to me, National Infertility Awareness Week and Advocacy Day have to go hand in hand. They're kind of kissing cousins. So I'm here partly because we need more advocates. We need more voices. We need more people who are willing to talk about their stories, what it means to them to be able to build their families, what it means to them when they come across roadblocks where it's almost impossible or impossible to build their families. And so my external advocacy is really, something that I am, even though I've done it for a long time, I'm really still a beginner, learning how to speak to our legislators and what to say and what is important to leave in and what's important to leave out. So I'm very, very humbled, really, and honored to be co-chairing the day this year and trying to coordinate 50 states to, and so tell me, is this your first advocacy day? For
Well,
Resolve? Yeah, tell us, Ashley.
This is actually my first advocacy day with Resolve, and I do have to thank you, Lisa, and you, Diana, and Illume Fertility, because for years you've been telling me you got to do this, you got to do this. And I finally said, oh my God, you're right. I do have to do this because infertility is a part of my story, a part of my journey with PCOS. And it's a part of so many patients' journeys with PCOS. I first learned that I had PCOS because I was having problems trying to conceive. I was being told by doctors that I was probably infertile. So a lot of us don't know what we're dealing with because doctors are not making us aware that PCOS is the leading cause of infertility. And once they do tell us that we have PCOS, we usually don't have enough information to advocate or understand or educate ourselves. And, 23 years ago, I started a journey of self-advocacy, if I could talk today, because I couldn't find those resources until I found organizations like PCOS Challenge and like Resolve, who are there to support patients and to empower patients. And 23 years later, here I am. I've done 6 PCOS advocacy days. I've been on TV, magazines, newspapers, radio. I've done pretty much everything that I could possibly do to raise my voice and share my story because it's important. It's important for people to understand that there are resources and there are people that are there to support them. And one of the things, Diana, that I would love you to talk a little more about is why it's so important for practitioners to get involved in this whole advocacy thing with patients, why they need to be educated and help educate people about infertility and conditions like PCOS or even endometriosis, which may cause problems with infertility.
Right, right. Well, it's interesting because I was thinking as you were talking that for many years, I've seen PCOS patients come in who've been to other practices, who've been around, and they still don't know that they have PCOS, or I'll come and look at their ovaries and see their symptoms and I'll think PCOS, and they're like, they never really even had a clue that that was something that they had. So they're not educated, and it's still happening today. Even today, I saw somebody who had no clue that she was probably a PCOS patient. And so I think it's really important for the education to come out, for the doctors and, the clinical staff to really educate their patients and to also advocate for these patients to get help. We're not getting enough help as far as financial help goes and, insurance coverage and that. I'm sure you're going to get into all of that. But I think that as a provider, to speak out in situations like this, or as an advocacy, I did the PCOS advocacy, and that was really fantastic. You got to speak out and you're here, people are listening too when you go. You think, oh, they're not going to even pay attention, but they really sit there and listen to you. So I think it's important to get the word out there and to get more resources for us.
And your perspective is so important, Diana. When you were there in Washington several years ago, it was so important because, your voice in explaining that you have patients. I mean, I got diagnosed with PCOS in my early 50s. Like, how did that even, first of all, that's a whole other story. We'll have to do another IG live on that, how that happened. But the point is that the patients aren't uneducated. I hate to say this, I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, but the doctors out there, right, are pediatricians or OBGYNs. And of course, I'm not saying as a rule they're uneducated, but it is remarkable. I was given permission to share this story, Ashley. My youngest daughter, my oldest daughter has PCOS. My youngest daughter started having symptoms. I heard them. I know about this. I didn't put it together. She goes to the doctor and she has PCOS, but she could have been diagnosed years before that. There were symptoms and criteria met there. So it's, we really need to, this is a place that still awareness is needed. So Ashley, take it away, my friend.
I mean, you really touched on a really a couple of important points that I want to try to pull together. It's vitally important that patients and practitioners form a partnership and actually, as you said, listen to one another, because I think there are valid points on both sides. And when you come together and you work together and you feel comfortable with each other, then change is going to happen. People are going to get better care. They'll be able to develop better treatments and a better understanding of this condition. So that's one of the things that I've always loved about the two of you and about Illume. You guys really, and I'm not just saying this, people, I swear, they literally listen to their patients and care about their patients. And that's why they have such great outcomes with their practice, because they are all about patients. You know, they don't have to get involved in things like advocacy with all these organizations, but they take the time to ensure that they do, because they're letting the patients know that they matter. And the other thing that I just wanted to touch on real fast, Diana, is you were saying that when you go to Advocacy Day, a lot of people get afraid because you're dealing with senators or House of Representatives or staffers, and you're like, oh my God, these people, what am I going to say to them? You know, all they want to do is hear your story. You have people there like Lisa, who is going to be, you know, a co-chair, who guide some of the other more seasoned advocates and are there to hold hands with the new advocates. And the most powerful thing that you can always ever do with advocacy is just tell your story. That's what they want to hear. Facts, figures, all of that are great. And I'll tell just a real quick story because I don't want to take too much time from the two of you, but I have a 16-year-old daughter who has PCOS, and we went to PCOS Advocacy Day. And, you know, I'd been doing advocacy for a while, and I'm going in, you know, all proud of myself. And, you know, PCOS affects up to 21% and 1 in 5, and, you know, up to 50% can be diabetic, blah, 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 blah. And the representative was just sitting here going, yeah. My 16-year-old at the time starts telling her story about how it affects her physically, emotionally, how she's bullied at school because she looks different sometimes. And there were like tears coming out of his eyes. And literally within 5 minutes of leaving that meeting, I get a phone call from Sasha Adi, who is the founder of PCOS Challenge, and she said, "What did you do?" And I went, "Oh my gosh, what did I do? What do I do? What did I do at this meeting?" And I said, "I don't know. What did I do?" She said, "I don't know what you guys did or said, but he already signed on to the resolution." It was literally within 5 minutes of leaving that office. And that again shows the power of the patient voice. Don't forget how powerful you are. Even if it's the scariest thing you've ever done, once you do it, it empowers you and it empowers others. So, Lisa, with talking about Advocacy Day, can you tell us a little bit more about NIAW and why it's important to get involved in this and in the upcoming Advocacy Day in May?
Yes. So National Infertility Awareness Week, you know, Barbara Ekmeni, who founded Resolve 39, I don't even know how many years ago, a long, long time ago, okay? When she founded Resolve, it was because there was no support out there, nor was there awareness out there. Certainly PCOS Challenge, Resolve, A Time, Sister Girl Foundation, many, many organizations out there are really making it, you know, making big strides about getting the word out. But National Infertility Awareness Week is really that time for our voices to come together, right? Not to be separated. And I will say, I'm a big believer in we can't all talk, right? Somebody's in the middle of their fertility treatment and they're going through pain and they're going through disappointments and they're having a ton of fear. Is this ever going to work? And they're running out of money. Well, those aren't necessarily our advocates during Advocacy Day or National Infertility Awareness Week. We really do have to support those people who in this moment are not able to speak up for themselves and say what happened. So particularly us veterans, right, who've been through it need to do it. Those of us who are in it and can do it, great. But, you know, our friends and colleagues and family need to know kind of what to say that's helpful and what to say, not to say that's not helpful. And National Infertility Awareness Week, Resolved has done an amazing job with a different campaign every day, you know, and wearing orange. I'm wearing my orange shirt from last year. I don't know if it says it right, but it says it 1 in 8. This is my NIAW shirt from last year. To me, it is that natural first step, right? To bring the awareness, to get our voices together, to think and talk about all these things, and then charge it into Advocacy Day. And Advocacy Day is when we tell our legislators what we think. And why do they care? Because we hire them, we vote for them. So Advocacy Day, a meeting can only take place if a constituent is there. That's the only way the meeting can take place. And yes, they do listen. And they do listen to our 16-year-olds, Hannah, and they do listen to, you know, our PAs and our doctors, because they want to get a complete picture of it, right? So Diana's voice is so helpful. Dr. Richland did Advocacy Day for us last year, and I was blown away, and Dr. Ressler is doing it this year. But, you know, them talking about their patients. You know, I was speaking to Dr. Ressler the other day, talking about a patient who she had in mind, who absolutely, the prognosis with IVF is excellent. But even so there are only 19 states that have state mandates or coverage for infertility. Only 13 states have IVF coverage. We're one of them. We're one of the most fertility-friendly states in this country, in Connecticut. And yet, Diana, how many patients do we have that are self-pay, that are not covered, that can't necessarily afford the $15,000, $18,000? And that's not even starting to talk yet about our LGBTQIA community or single people who have zero coverage in every single state, right? So there's a lot to be telling our, is that M a lot? There's a lot to be telling our legislators about what's important to us. And they do care about what's important to us. We vote for them or we don't vote for them, right? We speak with our vote, but if we go and we tell them, I want for our state to be covering more people for insurance. And I want, so that's NIAW for me, and that's Advocacy Day. And they literally really lead right into each other. And Resolve and the American Society for Reproductive Medicine, who is a partner in Advocacy Day, it's such an important time period. I can't say enough about it.
It is. And Diana, what advice can you give to other practitioners and patients as well, as far as when you go in and you're telling a story to help patients talk about infertility with these legislators? What are some steps that we can take as practitioners and patients?
Well, when I went in, Lisa was a great mentor, and she and I did this together. And so I was pretty calm. Although she could tell you the first one I went in, I was maybe shaking a little bit, but I noticed that we hand them over that fact sheet, and they read through the fact sheet, and then they would look at you with this open expression, ready to hear. What they wanted to hear was the facts were all there on their sheet, which is good, like you said, but they wanted to hear the stories. And I told stories of my patients that would come in and save their last penny and work for 6 months straight, 2 jobs to get enough money to do a cycle, and then not get pregnant, but be kind of hopeful that pregnancy could occur, but then have to save up for another 6 months. I've seen so many patients like that. So if you tell these stories, you really can get their attention. Once you do one, you go to the next one, you're much better. By the last one, you want to keep going. You don't want to, you want to talk to every single person there. So it actually became a lot of fun.
I wish I had a video of Diana in the first one and the last one. In the last one, she was the only one who spoke. She just kept going and going. She was on such a groove, you know, because she found her voice. She was able to say what needed to be said. And what happens with the training, right, is that you write your story, right? You write it. You have 2 minutes. I had an advocate last year, amazing advocate. She sent me 1,700 words. I'm like, 1,700 words is 12 minutes. You're going to have 2. I can talk really fast. Nobody can talk that fast, and we don't want you to. So 150 words, it really helps. Don't you think, did you think it helped us focus, Diana? Like, these are the points that we want to cover. Everything else is kind of gravy, but these points have to be covered.
Exactly, because they're busy. They're seeing, they're on a timeline there. They're leaving for a flight. Blumenthal was on his way out to the airport and he stopped to talk to us. So you want to get your in right away. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I know this past PCOS Advocacy Day, I was a regional leader again for New York and New Jersey and Pennsylvania. And one thing that I always tell people is, yeah, definitely write out your story and then time yourself for the 2 minutes. But if you could only, the one thing that I always say is, if you could only tell them one thing, if you only had a chance to say one thing, what would that be? And when you come up with that, that's usually what helps you create that story, that 2-minute story, because you're focusing on that one point that really means something to you. And I know that's hard because there are a lot of things with infertility, with PCOS, again, with like endometriosis, with all of these different conditions. We could go on and on and on. But unfortunately, we've got to sometimes narrow that down to the things that matter most to us. So
Ashley, wait a second. So what's your one thing?
Boy, that's hard, Lisa.
I have
my one thing for Infertility Advocacy Day coming up, or for, okay, what's my one thing? I think my one thing is I was never heard. That if the doctors I went to, I saw several doctors over several years. None of them could tell me what was going on with me with the infertility, what was causing it. I had some doctors that would literally sit there, because I went off birth control pills and within a 3-month period put on close to 100 pounds. It just, the symptoms came on fierce because I'd been on for 13 years. But I was being accused of stress eating because I was trying to get pregnant. I was being accused of not tracking like my periods properly, of all these, not taking vitamins and medications and eating the right, like the blame was always put on me because no one ever listened. When I finally found a doctor that sat down and listened to me, it was life-changing. We started with a plan. I started understanding the condition that was causing my infertility. And you want to know what? I was fortunate that after years of trying and being told I would never have children, I wound up having 2 children. So I guess the takeaway with that is that even when you're dealing with infertility, it's not always impossible to build a family. And it just takes, again, communication, partnership, support, and understanding. And I think that's my takeaway. I know that was a little more than 2 minutes, but that I think is the important point in that.
And Ashley, in speaking, and it's so surprising, for as well as I know you, I would not have guessed that would have been your point. But in speaking to Diana and preparing for this earlier, I said to her, my one takeaway, since that's what you said, my one takeaway is it was only from sheer luck that my family lineage did not stop here.
Right.
That there were future generations. We did an empty stroller rally in the early 2002 in New York State, and we were able to go into Congress and asked, what's the most important, if family is the most important thing in your life, please stand up. Every single person stood up. And when you think about like your family lineage, literally stopping right here, right here. Because, that whole just adopt thing, right? Just adopt is one of those phrases that really it should have a burial and should never be heard again. Not an easy job either. And Resolve and ASRM advocate for fostering and adoption and IVF for vets, because our veterans get no kind of support with if they get hurt on active duty, there's no IVF coverage for them. Okay, so there's all these different gaps in how we take care of reproductive disease, because that's what this is, right? I mean, just call it what it is, reproductive disease.
Right.
So anyway,
No, you're absolutely right, because no one ever knows where their journey is going to end, whether it's going to be successful or not, but every single person deserves the opportunity. And I think that's what this is really all about, is opportunities. And if we give, again, like the funding, the support, the resources, then everybody's going to have that opportunity. I mean, Diana, I know that when people come to you and they have success with like IVF and everything, how life-changing is that? Not just for them, but for you. I mean,
crazy. They'll remember you forever. And, they'll remember Illume Fertility forever. We get cards, we get baby pictures. They're part of our family now. And once they go through, and even the ones who try and don't have success are still part of the family and still keep in touch and still are grateful for the opportunity to try. So, we have a great success, but there are those few who don't get pregnant, and they too are grateful for that opportunity. And it's sad about the people who don't have the opportunity to continue on because of no support financially. Some people, we have the mandate. Some insurances are good. They cover almost everything, but some insurances, depending, there's a lot of loopholes there. So depending on who you're working for, how big the company is, what they want to give their employees, there are people who have to pay, $300 for a little vial of half a day of medication, and that goes on and on for 10 days, 12, it's so expensive. Every little thing stings, and it's hard to get through, and they're trying their best to do it. It would be so nice if everyone could have similar coverage.
Yes, and especially, again, gay parents to be, or LGBTQIA plus community, single people, there's just no coverage. There's no coverage. And in many, many states, there's specific discriminatory language. Illinois actually just passed some great legislation that removed discriminatory language and specifically put in. So hopefully we're seeing the face of this change, because, we've all three of us have been around long enough to know that some things have changed tremendously, like pregnancy rates, much higher than they used to be. Awareness is much higher than it used to be. And some things like PCOS medication, how different is it than it was 20 years ago?
It's not research.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot different, but accessibility to some of it is still not easy. And some of it is still not quite affordable. Like insulin for some people with PCOS need to have insulin or some sort of insulin therapy. And for some people, it costs hundreds of dollars a month. I remember when I was going through my infertility journey, I was in my 20s, young couple. We had a house and we had money, but, we weren't prepared for infertility. And, we went through oral medications and that didn't work. And then we went to injections, and fortunately, and that for us was expensive, but fortunately the injections worked for me. But to tell you the truth, I don't know what I would have done if we had to go further for IUI or IVF. I don't think I'd be where I am today. And I think that's why I feel so strongly about being part of it, because I know the struggle. I know the pain of going through uh, different cycles with different medications and everything. And, you know, looking at pregnancy tests month after month, week after week, day after day. And, you know, like you said earlier, Lisa, about luck, I got lucky, and I just want other people to get lucky as well and to have that opportunity.
Yeah.
So,
Mm-hmm.
It's sad. Someone wrote here, my doctor wanted me on a certain medication for PCOS, but it would have been $5,000 a month with good insurance. And so
Mm-hmm.
can't do
With good insurance.
with good.
right.
And when you talk about reproductive disease, there aren't that many conversations that happen for cardiac patients, thank goodness. And I'm not wishing what happens for infertility patients on anybody else. But and we won't even talk about the judgment that somehow PCOS is our fault and that we do this, that, or the other thing. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
I'm handing it back to you, Ashley. Yes.
So what I would like to know, Lisa, is where do we go from here? How do we get more involved? How do we, become advocates for infertility, for Resolve's Advocacy Day? It's May 18th, correct?
Yes. So Ryan Ferrente and I love him. Oh my gosh. And by the way, we never even talk about the community. There's only one reason that Ashley, Diana, and I know each other. And that's because of this. And it's because of advocacy. It's because Diana and I went to Washington and we met Ashley and we met Sasha and we met Renita and we met Carmen and we met all of these incredible friends that we really stay in touch with and support each other. So basically, one of the things that we've come to realize is that Advocacy Day really needs to be looked at as the beginning, not the end, right? Because typically, if you are speaking to a legislator's staffer, that's wonderful. They are the ear to their boss, right? And they are talking to their boss. No, it's wonderful to talk to the staffers. They take careful notes. They're interested. Sometimes we get to speak to a chief of staff. Sometimes we get to speak to their medical officer who knows more about PCOS than I do. So it's really a remarkable day. You never know who you're going to meet with. But a lot of times what Ashley shared before doesn't happen, that the legislator doesn't sign on that day. And sometimes it takes 6 weeks of emailing and texting back and forth, giving more information, for them to check, are there downsides to signing up for the PCO resolution of September being PCOS Awareness Month? What are the upsides? Frankly, I mean, this is politics. They have to check all the boxes and make sure of what's going on. So May 2nd is the deadline for signing up. You don't need to know anything. You literally don't need to know anything except that family building is important to you or someone you love. You sign up, and we have state captains that will lovingly guide you through this. If you want to go to Advocacy Day and just be a presence and not open your mouth at all, I just had that at PCOS Challenge, because there was a constituent there who was unwilling to speak. But because she was there, we were able to have the meeting with the legislator. So her presence was vitally important. So this is the first year my husband is doing it, because I'm not state captain. I'd like to stay married. So I'm not state captain, so he can do it this year. And you know what? The chances of him wanting to speak are small. We'll see. But it's so important. And it's one day. And the wonderful thing about virtual advocacy, I have to say, is there's no travel expenses. You don't have to go anywhere. You literally do just what we're doing, which is you get on and you speak. So it's been made very, very simple and inexpensive. And we literally will wrap you up tuck you in and make sure that you know exactly what you're doing. I can't tell you how many frantic phone calls I got in between legislative meetings last year of, you're doing great, you did great, it's okay to cry, it's okay to forget what you're saying, it's okay to take a breath. All of it is okay. It's okay to change your mind and not want to say something, or change your mind and want to say something. So we
Absolutely.
really, anybody who is considered family important, whether it's a niece or a nephew, whether it's your best friend who went through this and finally has a child, whether it is somebody who's in the middle of adoption procedures or fostering applications, whatever it is, we need your voice, we need your presence. So it's very, I guess, you know, there's a link to sign up and a confirmation, and then it's really one day out of your life.
And it's
So,
free. It's
and
free.
it's free. Oh yeah, it's absolutely free. Absolutely. And by the way, it's also a really, you know, the word that gets used at Resolve over and over again, the single word that gets heard hundreds of times every single year is empowerment and empowered. Because infertility can really make us feel less than, it can make us feel damaged. And when you have an opportunity to talk back to that, to say my story matters, my syndrome matters, my infertility matters, it matters. There's a tremendous change that happens for people. So May 2nd is our deadline. Please sign up. Please come join us. I'm going to put my email in here, because you can absolutely reach out to me directly. I will be happy to set you up, and I would, you know, I'm just happy to do whatever I can.
And trust me, she will. I've worked with her for years, and she is like, she is spot on. She will have you up and running in no time. Trust me. So, Diana, why this year? Why is it important? What changes do we want to see? Why do practitioners need to get involved? Doctors need to get involved, nurses, healthcare workers. Why?
Yeah, I can't say it enough that we want to see federal mandate to cover infertility for everyone in the country, which there isn't a federal mandate at this point. We want to see more research. I don't know if there's any bills up for research, but certainly with PCOS, I know that definitely we can use a lot more research. I was just reading some articles today, and every article says more research is needed. Every article says more research is needed. We have to know exactly, and you know, and people will tell you, well, we don't know why this occurred. We don't know this. We don't know that. We need a lot more research, a lot more funding for that. And I'm sure funding for infertility research, there is a lot out there, but there could always be more. So like we said, the veterans and the LGBTQ and all groups need, single people, fertility preservation. There's a lot more that we need help with. So, and we can advocate for that. We see that every day on a daily basis.
Right. And I have to thank you for mentioning that repeatedly, because it goes with PCOS and infertility as well. It does not discriminate. There are people of every color, race, sexual orientation, socioeconomic background. And again, I keep saying this, and I'm going to keep saying this. Everyone deserves the opportunity for best care, for family building. And, you know, it looks a little bit different for everyone. So, Lisa, what about you? Why this year? Why this time? What do we need to do? Why are we doing this? How do we get more involved? I mean, you've told us how to get involved, but why? Why is it important?
Well, you know, when I was thinking about this, I wrote a sentence that that actually directly answers that question. You know, sometimes we have a moment in time where we can act or be inactive, where we can speak or we can stay silent. You know, choose this time as a time of action to add your voice. Choose this time. It's so easy to say, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it next week, I'll do it next cause. But family building is really a continuation of our families, right? And I don't want anybody's family to end because there's no insurance coverage because of money. So I would say that it's very easy to put this off, and I'm asking everybody this time, don't put it off. Choose this time to do this.
Absolutely, because sometimes that's all it takes is just one thought, one step, one voice to make change happen. That's the one question I get asked the most is, how do I become an advocate? And I'll say it again. I know I said it earlier. It's just sharing your story and having the strength to stand up. That's it. I am no different than anyone else who advocates. I have no special powers, no special connections. I just have a willingness to get out there and to make a difference, which is something each and every one of us can do. So, gang,
and to do it not alone, Ashley, right? That the whole
never
point is,
alone.
Ashley has sort of downplayed her tremendous involvement and her tremendous dedication to PCOS advocacy. Particularly, we're thrilled you're throwing it our way this year with Resolve. Thrilled, but you're not going to do this alone. You don't have to do this alone. So yeah,
Absolutely.
This is it. This is the time.
And Lisa, I will make a commitment in front of everybody right now that whatever you need, wherever you need me for Resolve Advocacy Day, I will be there.
Well, it's on camera, babe. It's recorded.
I know. And I think my boyfriend's watching and his hands are like coming towards the camera right now. But yes, I will be there to do whatever you need.
And like you says, it's community. You get to make friendships with like-minded people, and that's so important.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Yes. So I would like to thank both of you, not just for tonight, but for everything since I've met the two of you. You have been my heart. You have been the soul of both of these communities, and I am so grateful that I have two amazing humans in my life as a result of all of this. So thank you both for everything you do, and with all of the love that you do it. I truly appreciate you both, and I am so looking forward to continuing to advocate with both of you and seeing you at Resolve's Advocacy Day on May 18th, and I would love to hear a few final words from both of you.
Well, I would say join up, get on the bandwagon. You've got a great team here with Ashley and Lisa. They will guide you along, and we'll have fun while we're doing this, where we're doing good.
The theme for tomorrow with Resolve is we all can. So we all can add our voice, share our story, make a difference.
And I will be there beside both of you, making sure that happens. Love you both. Thank you to everyone who joined us this evening. I will be adding this to my feed, so everyone who was unable to make it this evening can watch the live. Until we meet again, ladies, thank you so much. It was a pleasure this evening, and I will talk to both of you soon.
Thank you so much for having us.
Absolutely. Have a good night. Bye.
Bye-bye.